I want to turn to a prescient topic, AI. Incoming President Trump is reportedly considering creating an AI czar. He seems to love czars, very Russian, to spearhead federal policy. Axios reporting the immediate goal will be to keep the U.S. at the forefront of the developing technology. It comes amid an ongoing and intense debate over AI, especially in the arts. The Atlantic's Alex Reisner with a new groundbreaking piece reporting AI systems have been trained using Hollywood's TV and film writers' work. The piece goes on to point out, quote, until very recently, no writer putting pen to paper on a script would have thought their creative work might be used to train programs that could replace them. It's chilling, it's unfair, and the public needs to know about it. The author of that bombshell article, Alex Reisner, joins me now. He's a freelance writer and programmer. Alex, thanks so much for joining us this evening on The Beat. So I'll be honest with you. I had several friends of mine who are, professional middle-class writers go in and realize that, hey, they're using my stuff. They're using that episode of Grimm that I wrote. They're using this episode of this show and that show that I wrote. So the first thing is, how have writers responded to finding out, when you're reporting, how have they responded to finding out that their work is being used to train their potential replacements?
Yeah, so they've suspected it for a while. A lot of them have used ChatGPT and seen that it and other generative AI tools can produce scripts that sound a lot like the stuff they write. But no one was sure until we published this article at The Atlantic. We had a search tool. Writers can go in and actually find which episodes or movies that they've written have been used to train generative AI. They're not happy about it. They're not totally surprised, but having the evidence, they're really upset about it, most of them.
So one of the questions that some people are left with is, last summer was the longest, most expensive writer's strike and actor's strike that Hollywood has seen in 30 or 40 years. And there were some accommodations made. There were some things that actors and writers got about the size of writing rooms and the length of time, et cetera, et cetera. But to find out just about a year and a half later that AI is still continuing to gobble up their work has to be very frustrating. Is there something that was missed in last summer's protests, or are these sort of AI plagiarism machines operating in a space or a nook and cranny that wasn't handled by last year's settlement?
It's a really tricky thing for the writers to negotiate, right? They want to be able to use generative AI themselves if they want. I think, I'm not sure how they want to use it. I think there's a lot of different opinions about that. So they didn't want to ban it entirely. And I think that, if you just ban the technology entirely, you get branded a Luddite, all kinds of things like that. So they didn't want to do that. So I think what they did, if I remember correctly, was they had a minimum number of writers required for every show or movie.
Right.
So they addressed it as kind of, you have to hire humans. You can use generative AI, but you have to hire humans as well. It's not clear what the other options are to me. I mean, I'm not a labor expert, but I think that's what they did. And we'll see how it goes. I have not yet talked to any of them about how they feel about the negotiations in the light of this article.
So one of the things that I remember coming out of the discussion is that writers were also sort of empowered to say, you can't give me something written by AI and then make me work on it, right? And use that to end up paying me less. From a pure financial standpoint, why does it seem that so many big movie studios and television producers are so ambivalent about this? I would think if I'm a large studio and I'm paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to writers to come up with my TV shows, to come up with my streaming shows, to come up with my blockbuster movies, I wouldn't want that work to then be thrown into this machine. I would think that that's like me throwing my money away. Why are corporations, at least in the short term, not more interested in protecting the work that they paid for from being plagiarized?
I'm not sure that they aren't. I mean, it takes a while to bring a lawsuit, right? Like we could see a lawsuit from a studio in the future, but I don't really expect it. I think that generative AI is a tool made primarily for them. It's more, this is a tool that costs hundreds of millions of dollars to build. It's not for writers. It's for big corporations to save money by paying fewer humans. And I think that's why we're not seeing more resistance from the studios to the technology.
I want to play a quick clip from you from Ben Affleck about AI and streamers. Get your thoughts on the other side.
Yep.
Is it possible that a Netflix could say, we're going to do our own, James Bond thing out there with a bunch of actors that are completely recreated for this market or that market?
A, that's not possible now. B, will it be possible in the future? Highly unlikely. C, movies that will be one of the last things, if everything gets replaced, to be replaced by AI. AI can write you excellent imitative verse that sounds Elizabethan. It cannot write you Shakespeare.
We've got just a couple seconds left. Do you agree with Ben Affleck? I mean, the fear is that AI is going to take those jobs. He seems to believe that Good Will Hunting can't be written by a machine.
I agree with him that Good Will Hunting can't be written by a machine. I don't think it matters. A couple hundred years ago, all our clothes were made by humans. They invented machines that could make clothes. They were not very good clothes, but the manufacturers sold them anyway, and now we all have clothes made by machines. This is just what happens when automating technology comes out. It doesn't need to be that good. Companies will figure out how to use it, sell the goods more cheaply, and pay fewer humans to do the work. I don't really see why AI is different from previous automating technologies in that way.
And to think we all used to believe that Santa would make our toys, and that too got replaced by machines. Alex Reisner, thank you so much for joining us this evening on The Beat.
Thank you, Jason.
Remember to check out my podcast, A Word with Jason Johnson, this week. We are having a very important episode where we talk about the incoming administration, the work they're doing, and the specific impact that could have on HBCU's college and education. Make sure that you pay attention to that and that you listen wherever you get your podcasts. Does it for me tonight.